A Hunter in Teyvat, Chapter 48, Fan Fiction, by Azazyel. Yo Signora, you still want me to take off? Childe grinned maniacally with his battle lust reaching unknown levels with electro energies roaring off him as he burned through his life force to break off the ice off him. Just help me get the damned gnosis, so we can leave this vermin-infested city. Signora cried out as she herself gave up only using her cryo delusion to deal with Venti and the others, as she engulfed herself in flames and grew to be 5+ meters tall. Sorry, buddy, but you got to die now. Childe shrugged as he was cloaked in his foul legacy transformation as he knew quite clearly, he was heavily outnumbered by vision wielders, and I could only throw up a glyph that instant shattered into motes of light as he all but teleported with his insane speed and smashed into my rain slasher I put in front of me to block Childe's blow. Before he could land another crushing blow, however, he was met with Dialec's pyro-covered claymore before Dialec was pushed aside by Childe's enhanced physical abilities from using his vision, delusion, and his foul legacy transformation that imbued him with a portion of the abyss's power. Well now. You are a scary one. Kia muttered as he likewise dashed forward to meet Childe, as I recovered and joined the cavalry captain and Dialec in a melee against Childe while dealing with the occasional Fatui agents that attempted to interfere with the battle. Childe was able to bat aside our blows fairly easily with his enhanced abilities, and only the geo-constructs that I summoned were able to block his blows, otherwise, we need to dodge his every blow, as we would be thrown dozens of meters away if we didn't. But finally, Lisa made her presence known as a massive titanic bolt of lightning in the shape of a snake roared into existence above our heads, before mercilessly smashing into Childe, smashing his floating form into the ground and exploding, sending jagged bolts of electro energy everywhere. Once the smoke cleared and I saw the state of Childe, I knew our resident Electro Queen had either killed or knocked him unconscious, as his abyss mask fell off his head, making him lose his abyssal form, and he was just lying there, limp. But Lisa obviously was dead tired after using such an electro spell, and I saw Kia break off the battle to carry her out of sight lest the Fatui gets the idea of taking her hostage. With Childe seemingly taken out of the battle and literally seemingly hundreds of dead Fatui and Mondstadt citizens littering the ground, I threw my already exhausted form into the frantic battle with Signora, who had realized this was a total wash with how Childe was defeated. You rats! Do you know what you are doing? We are the Fatui. We will destroy Mondstadt, and that pathetic god cannot stop us. Signora screeched hysterically, and I see that the stress had made the woman snap and lose the calm disdain she had for us as she began to frantically threaten how the Fatui would poison our water and everything imaginable as vengeance for killing her. But it was useless and as scary as she would be typically. We had more than a dozen vision wielders and a literal archon very much pissed at her, so she soon got beat on. Simply by using a newly summoned ruin grater being filled with the remains of my aura so it could withstand the insane heat of her flames, everyone could beat on her head and upper chest while the ruin grater's large claws held her arms locked to her sides as the mech held onto her. Finally, though Signora was knocked unconscious or maybe killed. I don't know. Dialec smashed the flat of his claymore atop her head before she went silent. Well, this is certainly awkward. A voice called out, and I frowned as yet another harbinger came out from deeper in the CITY, and I didn't know anything much about this one as I had never read the Genshin comics in my old world. You know, she wasn't really lying about the whole poisoning bit. I have prepared enough chemicals to poison the lake surrounding Mondstadt for the next couple weeks, so why don't you let my people go? Tor, Jean called out while the still-living Fatui agents began to pick themselves up off the ground. Here I will tell you what. In return for Signora and Childe, I will leave a sample of the chemicals I had prepared to flood your city with. Would that satisfy you? He asked. Tor was wearing a heavily decorated Sneznahian coat that covered up all his skin, so the only features I could really see on him was his face, which was mostly covered by a weird mask that covered the man's eyes and down to his nose, leaving only his smug grin to be seen. And should we simply capture you as well? Jean challenged with her sword all but roaring with the tornado condensed around it. Tor only lightly chuckled before he responded. Who is to say I am actually here to begin with? Is this form you see before you an illusion or even one of my automatons? Will you chance your city being poisoned with a condensed form of the withering from Somaru in order to capture a remote-controlled automaton? Or will you allow my fellow harbingers go, to save your city? Even as I gripped my saber I could only mentally snarl as Jean had literally no choice but to capitulate as although we vision wielders were highly resistant to the withering from what an exhausted Lisa was explaining hurriedly to Jean. But literally, everyone else in Mondstadt that touches that taint will waste away with no known cure. Ladies and gentlemen, please carry my colleagues away. Oh, and leave the chaff behind. Let the little people of Mondstadt have a bit of a win today. Tor spoke carelessly, and even as the heavily wounded factory members attempted to crawl away, hearing how they were being abandoned. But the uninjured members simply followed their newest commanding officer's orders as they hurriedly grabbed Childe, Signora, and helped the less injured members flee the site of battle as the rest were left behind, seeing their circumstances just collapse back into the ground in defeat. Hey, if you like this and want daily uploads and to read early chapters, please drop a tip in my Ko-Fi https://ko-fi.com/Azazyel22926 or https://www.patar-ian.com/Azazyel and your precious energy stones. It keeps me working on it. My commission rate is $15 per 1,000 words. Azazyel. Please, like and subscribe to our channel.